Hello, welcome to another episode of the SLB Show. Louis and Matt are both here with me. Action-packed week, both on and off the court. Lots and lots and lots of things to talk about. I suppose, not an apology, but we recorded last week's show on Wednesday. By Thursday lunchtime, it was out of date. So if you listen to that after Thursday lunchtime, I'm really sorry. A lot of the stuff that we now know. So yeah, let's get genuinely, I've never done a podcast that's gone out of date so fast in its life. So anyone still watching that, thank you for the dedication and time to continue watching or listening to every episode. Louis not got a camera on, so he's going to have hopefully a lovely picture of something here to be confirmed what it could be. But yeah, let's get straight into SLB, FIBA, BBF. What do we know? So SLP has been granted recognition, what it kind of wanted all along. BBF have, I suppose, had their suspension uplifted or removed. I suppose uplifted, removed, same word. In terms of the men's program being allowed to compete, there was a wee bit of discussion online that I seen in regards to, well, FIBA kind of only gave them a mini ban because FIBA obviously stopped all of all of Japanese basketball happening. But with FIBA in this time, they just kind of dangled we're going to cancel men's basketball. And they did. They gave them the 2-3 week ban, gives them less time to prep for Lithuania. But I suppose we are all in this show delighted that it's back. And then I suppose, where does it actually leave GBBL? Which we went into detail last week. But now we can actually, with facts and knowledge rather than hearsay or guesswork, work it all out. But Matt, I suppose it's kind of the news maybe most people expected.
Yeah, I think so. And in short, I think GBBL has to be dead in the water now, right? So their license to operate for the next 15 years was with the BBF.
Yep.
FIBA have now said the BBF can't license men's domestic professional basketball. So it's done, isn't it? It is over. It is finished. So yeah, I think that's absolutely mint. It's what everyone wanted. I'm sure there's probably going to be a long drawn out court thing, which is going to be boring. But yeah, surely I think that,
and that'll be GBBL now looking at legal ramifications, wouldn't they be?
Yeah, maybe to
honest,
the BBF, and then that's, if the BBF, obviously, I think the weird thing is now, it seems to me that the BBF is now basically ceremonial. It's doesn't actually do anything in terms of facilitating basketball, doesn't have any power to do it, make anyone do anything seemingly. But yeah, FIBA's kind of, I'm trying to think of a better analogy, but it's the one that's come to mind. FIBA's kind of got its hand up the BBF and working its mouth like a puppet and basically going, this is how we will be able to put on men's basketball.
Now, I would almost say that FIBA have told the BBF to go out the room, out the pub. They've been barred from entering, and FIBA are having a drink at the table with SLB and the other stakeholders. It very much feels like until BBF reform and make changes to their governance, that FIBA will be in charge.
Yeah, it's just weird because I think nothing can obviously change until there's change in the FIBA board. And I think, I don't know
BBF
much
board.
about, the BBF board, excuse me. But they've got to have a new permanent chair, surely, unless Grace wants to continue. But yeah, it just feels like, I tend to think that maybe FIBA came in and then realized, nothing is happening. Nothing's actually, there is no good here. So it's they're kind of sitting around with this task force and maybe going we need to show these people how to run a basketball federation. So it's not like it was maybe they came in expecting it was a quick spat between BBF and SLB, And that's why there was the ban. And it's like, look, we're not letting you do this until this is resolved. And then they've thought, hang on a minute, you can't do this because you don't know what you're doing. So let's lift the ban and let you crack on. So it's not the slap on the wrist. It's not like if you don't do this now, then you can't do men's basketball. It's just like they've realized, you can't do this now. You don't know what you're doing. So there's no point. I think Quinn Ellis spoke in the Yorkshire Post recently about like, I want to play basketball for GB, and I really, really hope it happens. So hopefully, with Lithuania on the 27th of November, supposedly. So that's, what's the date now? We're recording this on the 10th, so 11th. No, the 11th. So yeah, like just left. Like whatever. Whatever.
But 11th, we're recording this on Tuesday the 11th when it comes out.
It will be 11th when people listen to it.
I've got an American calendar, it's backwards. So yeah, it's just mad. It's all a madness. And but I feel like it's a kind of, like you said, it's just kind of BBF are in the naughty corner while FIBA and SLB actually get on with the business of making basketball happen.
And then when we think about it this way, Lou, as well, like last summer, or the summer just been, there was chat of a new team joining, and this whole thing has just kind of stalled all leagues' growth. And I suppose we now, Lou, have a chance to look forward and hope that it might not just be Liverpool joining the league, it could be other teams.
I mean, like that's been a huge burden in terms of the league's growth, in terms of, as you say, Liverpool. It means that teams can now look forward and, because obviously that's a big burden to like their plans. They don't have this sort of anchor to kind of, they know where they know the license is going to be an X amount of years, so it's been a huge burden in terms of that. So now they can, future plan, and obviously, that just aids us to kind of speed up the growth that we've kind of been observing with stuff like London's new arena that's we got the news of today. If we eventually ever see anything about Bristol ever, so stuff like that. So yeah, like it just allows us to kind of move forward from this like tumultuous time. So yeah,
I suppose with this kind of agreement now being set in stone, or BBF worded it as rolling agreement, which I suppose, thinking back, I suppose it is, because the agreement's with FIBA. Medium, short term, fair enough, but medium to long term, eventually that agreement's going to be with BBF or whatever the governing body is going to be. If it can get out of its own kind of crisis, I suppose. But I suppose we look forward, if we're talking about growth for the SLB, this will give the assurances to sponsors, partners, broadcasters that actually the sport is now investable. Like you look at,
exactly.
Like we'd heard in the summer of owners saying that they've had people walk away from the table. We didn't know until the last minute if we were going to have a TV deal, because that was all part of, they were told it was 3 years. So, and that's kind of why we've got like a little bit of a sub-quality product to what we had last season, I suppose. Like we've gone from a 3-4 camera setup to 2 because there was securities needing to be had. And you can understand that from all sides, like it was needed to happen. And I suppose that then just goes back to the conversation of whose interest is BBF looking out for?
I think we know the answer to that. And
more of a rhetorical question, that one.
Yeah, I know. Well, they're skint, so that's perfect, isn't it? So,
but is it perfect? Like, obviously, Sport England, UK Sports kind of froze investment into it. A governing body going bust because of legal issues, it stems back all to poor governance. Maybe not necessarily poor leadership, but poor governance in the and how they've come to different decisions. And what needs to happen is change, and that seems to be what FIBA want to see as well. Like with this kind of happening, I suppose the litigation and courtroom battles between SLB BBF will stop because FIBA will not want that. and it allows hopefully the grown-ups in the room to get around the table and bash out what's best for British basketball. As I suppose, Matt, we've constantly said that's what should be at the forefront of the SLB and obviously the governing body as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that I remember even back in the, I don't know how many crises ago it was, but like this is back when Vaughan did his first interview with Hoopsfix, and he was just, Sam Nita was asking him like, plans for this, plans for that, arenas and all this kind of stuff, and that was the ambition. But even back then, Vaughan was talking about like, oh, we've only got an interim license. Once we get long term, then that's when we can go ahead with it. And it's taken till now, and like, what is Vaughan in like year 2 or year 3 at the Sharks? But like, I think it's year 2. But
he took over at the end of the like spring of the last 7-7-7 season, so I suppose technically his 3rd season.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's taken from then, but even the kind of, I got the terminology down here that SLB was saying that it's like a transformative high growth. They're kind of what they're saying is kind of they can basically do stuff at pace now. So hopefully all these big plans that they've been having and have been putting on ice, it's time to take it out of the fridge and set it out to get to room temperature again. Do you know what I mean?
Is it worth thinking what that actually means? Like, because of caveat into this, you've got to assume that any FIBA agreement will also have bits in it about NBA Europe.
Oh, I don't know. I shudder to think.
Like it will, because FIBA want the teams to then play in the domestic cups or competitions. So you'd imagine for FIBA to agree to anything, there will be something in it that allows NBA Europe teams. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then what does that? Are we allowed? Are we going to speculate? Like, is there any point yet? Because that's going to happen, and I suppose it's now going to happen on SLB terms rather than Big Glickers term.
Can it? Given the nature of NBA Europe, in that it is pure spectacle and a day out with the lads type vibes, do they even need a domestic league? Or
that's what FIBA want, because it's all part of their. It's going to be FIBA rules. It's going to be part of like where is it not BCL winners will be able to get a place in the years after, and I'm sure that was what I'm sure was spoken about before. Yeah. I'm just curious, because then actually, does having the NBA Europe eyes on our league potentially bring more investment into the game in this country?
Well, yeah, of course. Like, from my viewpoint, of course, because I mean, look at the potential. I mean, why are people investing so much into NBA Europe, or perceivably investing so much into NBA Europe? Because they see it as a huge, like, potential growth market, don't they? So, vis-a-vis, if a couple teams, as we've heard about, like Manchester, London, come into our league, people will see that as a potential opportunity. I mean, why to kind of bring it back to the initial kind of phase of like American investors in the SLB. Why did they initially invest? Was it, could it potentially have been to kind of with this long-term like plan in mind? Like there's loads of interesting questions in terms of that, and as we will eventually see, because it's inevitable, it will happen. What's to come. So yeah,
I don't know. I think I'm just happy to be rid of one league that doesn't exist yet. Let's have a breather before we start talking too deep about another one.
Yeah. Is there there's any way for GBBL to come back, return, stay as a thing, stay on the horizon, or do you think Glickers has collected his jacket from the peg, and is Or is this a situation where potentially the SLB can find out, reach out to whatever, to the money men behind those teams and think, well, actually, why don't you come and join us?
I think it's probably more likely that Glickers will probably try and fund a NBA Europe, a British-based NBA Europe team rather than the league. I don't think it can now happen. Like, I think with FIBA saying that SLB are the domestic professional league, I don't think it can happen. Even if, like, sort of legally, whatever, obviously, it's possible. But I think SLB won't want to work with Glickman and co.
No,
There's too much bad blood.
Yeah, it all hinged around that exclusive license and kind of forcing clubs into the league because they need the clubs to operate, and now they don't have that exclusive license. I mean, why would the clubs cooperate? That's kind of the question. So, yeah, I don't see it happening.
So, the second part of what if the SLB tried to bring in some of the money men behind that? Because could it be Marshall Glickman's the divisive figure that actually behind all that is people who want to invest? I don't know. I'm just caveating.
If you believe some people, there are people queuing up to invest in British basketball teams. So, maybe they don't need Marshall and he can go off and be chased away from another league in another country. He got chased away from EuroLeague. He's been chased away from the UK. So, yeah, maybe it's... I don't think maybe they know those same people. And I think, with investors and stuff like that, it's all very pally in it. So I think maybe all the people that were going to chuck some money in with Marshall would probably stay loyal to him, maybe. I don't know. Because they believed in his vision. Because a million years ago did it in Portland. But I think, people have got money, I think, apparently. So hopefully we can just continue the investment that was supposed to be on the table before this all kicked off and BBF did a madness. And we can get back to our regularly scheduled program.
Imagine just talking a podcast for a full hour about basketball.
Imagine. Could you imagine that?
No.
Impossible.
It's not happened for... I genuinely can't remember the last time we had a... Wait, you're generally talking first 777 season where nobody really knew the dodgy shit yet, and it was just their first season when they went BCL and they did... Maybe even, I don't know, was that the season they didn't win the league or they didn't win something and then... I can't remember. Was that DeAndre Liggins' season?
Well, we weren't on the pod then, were we, Matt?
No,
so
that might have been pre-me.
Yeah, that's pre-us, man.
Pre-me watching British basketball, mate.
I mean, it's all fun and game. Right, so it's definitely, I don't think this argument or this story's totally gone away. I'm really curious to see. I suppose it's for BBF to kind of go with, this is what's happening. We've done this. We've sat down, done this. It'd be cool to try and get someone on from maybe FIBA. Maybe someone will try and reach out to the league and get, whether it's one of the ownership groups or Big Sanjay. So we'll try and do that.
Jose Garbajosa, get him in.
I think Jose would love a chat with us.
He'd love a chat with us.
He'd love a chat with us.
Good idea.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a moving story. And I'm curious to see what happens. So, yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about Lions' new venue chat today. A lot of news coming out. I'm going to try and click on the news story or the tweet because Matt Hardy put it in our group chat because he was an absolute... So a major step towards creating a permanent home for basketball in the capital. Proposed 15,000-seater plus 3.5-seat community arena, which is quite cool. Economic impact, 3.4 billion. Jobs created, somehow nearly 10,000. 40-plus basketball games plus hundreds of events. The community arena would be home to a grassroots hub and the women's setup. Mayor of London obviously involved and City Hall backing it as well. So London are trying to move into the next phase to identify the site and deliver the model. Another new world-class arena for London basketball is closer than ever. So the feasibility survey's been done, and I suppose if you're a London fan or a basketball fan in the capital, it's going to be really, I suppose, quite cool, and you've got to be quite excited. Yeah. Hey, Lou, you go first. What's your views on this?
I mean, obviously, it's a great step, potentially. I mean, as you say, it's a feasibility survey. It's not like they're breaking ground, and as it kind of says and speaks to in the article, I mean, it needs 3 billion quid. That's not going to be easy to source. I mean, maybe Clickman's mates can help them
It's a full circle.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting things, and also another interesting thing in the article. Apparently, London have been spending 8 million per season, which is another talking point.
Let's put a pin in that, because I want to come back for that chat. Because
to continue,
you keep going, venue chat.
Yeah, to continue on the venue chat, like 40 plus games is interesting, because obviously 16 home games in the league, you'd assume, if it's anything like last season, plus 9 from Eurocup equals 25. That's not 40.
Women's games? Are the women going to play there?
Are they going to invest in the women's? Because they've been playing in a school the past season. So, a lot of questions around that.
Sorry to chip in, but it does say that the community arena would be the home of the women's team.
They're shunting them off.
100%.
Yep.
So, I mean, no women's team is selling out 3,000 tickets in the next 5 years, unfortunately. So that's not a bad starting
15,000.
Yeah.
My view on it is, I think it's a cool thing to have pushing forward. Are we able to link it back to the NBA Europe discussion? You'd assume so. Or are they hoping? Because there's not the chat in that, is it's going to be Chelsea or Arsenal looking to get behind it because of who owns them. Is this London? Like, I'm surprised the Mayor of London's so invested in this if he knows the NBA Europe's coming. Like, why does he get so involved with the Lions when he's going to have Stan Kroenke or who's the Chelsea boy?
Roman Abramovich? I don't know.
Todd Bowley,
him.
Yeah.
Who have got massive major money across whatever. Like, crazy money. And if they're going to do the whole football, basketball model, Sadiq's surely going to want to, do you know what I mean? Or is this him going, no, this is London's team and whatnot? Like, I'm just curious to see why Mayor of London's so invested in it when, okay, he gains a basketball arena in his city when there's NBA, EuroLeague, well, NBA Europe as well, college teams looking to travel around. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's obviously think there must be, if they're talking about, what did they say? What was the 8 billion figure? Like, return of investment or whatever. I just think it's crazy. Matt, thoughts? But I think it's brilliant. I want it to happen, but some of the numbers are just insane.
Yeah, cool. I think, yeah, it's absolutely. I think that 3.4 billion was the economic impact it would have on, but not what it would cost. So 10,000 jobs created. Great. Obviously, I don't know which bit of London it's going to be in. I couldn't see anything.
They're still looking for sites.
Yeah, but yeah, it's phase 1 of a feasibility study. So we're way off. But no, I think
what's more likely to happen then, Matt, with your Flyers glasses firmly down. Flyers who have a ground, who just haven't hit ground yet. Flyers Arena or London's venue.
It has to be the Flyers. For the sake of my sanity, it has to be the Flyers. But yeah, for this one, it's just really cool, and I hope that, whichever London team ends up, maybe, if there's a Arsenal basketball club, are they going to be the team, or Chelsea or whatever? Maybe it's a arena share with the Lions if the Lions aren't in the Europe NBA Europe plans. I don't know. But no, it's got my fallback, and I really hope it happens. I think it'd be very cool. I think GB would be playing there a lot, which is really cool and exciting. Being in a purpose-built basketball arena instead of, well, I suppose Virtue is a purpose-built basketball arena of sorts, but it's not a 15,000 seater. So
No.
yeah, I'm all in, and I think the Tesseract have deep enough pockets to make it happen. So yeah, we shall see. But we know enough to know that these things take years to happen. But I'll be looking on very excitedly.
Absolutely. So something that Louis touched on there was said that Lions are spending £8 million a year currently on, I'm guessing that includes all their players and stuff associated with that. Venue hire, so obviously the Copper Box we know isn't cheap. They're not getting it for nothing. Obviously, you get nothing for nothing, but that seems, and we believe what their roster's a minimum 1.5, is it, because of Euro Cup rules? Is that right?
Yeah.
And I think I remember counting when they travelled up to play in East Kilbride a couple of weeks back. They didn't have a full 12 with them. And they might have, but anyway. But I counted they had at least 12 personnel with them as well, through coaches, physios, team managers, S&C, and photographer and all that. That's insane amount of people travelling.
I love it.
They're spending their budget. We do want that to be normal.
Yeah.
But it needs to become more professionalized. Maybe not to that extent where we're spending 8 million. Maybe we don't have the cash. We don't have the budget for that yet. But
NBA Europe's coming. That'll be normal soon, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's all going to change. But we were having a lot of questions in the Discord in terms of the value for money, kind of 8 million. Yeah. So they're spending 8 million per season. I looked at kind of equivalent spend in France Pro A, because they have budgets.
They produced those numbers, didn't they?
Yeah, they produced those numbers. So we see that an equivalent team was Strasbourg, I think, who Manchester played in the preseason, but they are a well-storied team with a lot of fans that come to their venue. A lot of kind of team. Deep team. So are they getting a value for their money in terms of fans? Because we see, their arena being a quarter full sometimes. So stuff like that. So a lot of questions to be had in terms of cost effectiveness and stuff like that. So yeah.
It's one of these ones when we look at 8 million being spent, you see that big figure, but actually then wonder, because we don't know, how much do our clubs spend? Okay, if you look at accounts on whatever else, there'll be stuff that we see, stuff we don't see. But how 8 million, but you'd assume that includes accommodation. How much does Surrey spend on accommodation? Do you mean how much do Glad spend on accommodation for players across their full pro? I suppose it's the secondary finances that us as mere fans don't see. Do you mean clubs have a playing budget of what will be this is what we're going to spend on them salary wise, and this is what they're going to get paid for playing basketball, but they might do community work, they might do school stuff where they can pick up more or whatever it may be, or the club have got a deal with halls at some universities. I know some people used to have that. Do you know what I mean? I'm always curious to be how is a basketball club actually financed? Because very few own their own venue. So then it's training venues, getting to and from there. Gladiators own their own venue. Bristol, I suppose, have easy access to their venue. Leicester own theirs, but it seems to be around other events that they get in there. Newcastle own theirs. It's part of the foundation, though. So it's two different stems of the same business. You've got the Newcastle Foundation, but you've got also the men's pro team. I'm always just cute. And I suppose this is what we talked about a couple months back. It would be really cool to fully understand how a basketball team in the UK is financed. it would be really interesting to see how if the SLB did the same as what France does and puts out, this is our
That would
playing
be
budget.
sick.
This is what we've actually spent. Like, it would
That
be
would be
so
sick.
interesting to see.
I mean, we have Company's House Rob to do that for us in the Discord. Thank you. Shout out to Company's House Rob.
Company's House Rob.
I'd love to see whether like any of our clubs are stretching to like a mil budget. That'd be really interesting to see, kind of like overall budget. But like a bigger question is, how are these clubs financed? Like let's say Surrey, for instance. Like, how do they afford their team? Because they don't have a Tessellette. They have a guy like
We don't know. We don't know. They could have secret money.
Dan Clark, secret stash. You know,
Dan's not spent a penny of his playing career earnings and just decided to spend it all in Surrey.
Spend it all on Nedas, you know. So
sounds like a wise business decision.
Yeah.
But
do you think there'd be any benefits that would come from making this all public, though?
Absolutely not. But it would be for people,
of course.
For people like us, it gives us something to. Yeah, but other than people like us,
is there anything else, Grant?
It would be fascinating, and we would probably have like a 3-hour podcast debrief of each team's finances and what it means and how
a balance sheet.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Look, if you watch the NBL, okay, they make a lot of media around, you know, like the cap and stuff like that. You know, that's engagement. It's an interesting thought.
We know that it's even having confirmation, but like, who's the person that they don't count towards the cap, sort of thing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that becomes a narrative. Like, this is the guy.
But is that even a rule this year? Like, do you know what? Like, I don't think, is that still a rule? Because
they did divulge the rules, Grant. Maybe if you read them.
No, I know, but I can't remember that because that was last year's rule.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read it either, so I can't.
Don't
speak
lie.
to that.
You have. I know you have.
I mean, I looked at some, but not that deep.
Big old document.
Not that deep.
But no, I think, good discussion would be had by people like us because we'd be interested. But I think the wider population...
Immensely interested. Immensely.
Fair. All right, let's move on. Good luck to London. Hopefully that feasibility study becomes real life. That is true. All right, SLB Trophy. Cheshire Phoenix are already into the semi-finals. Played 2-1-2. Locked down their tickets. Got their tickets stamped. But we're in a situation where we've got 9 teams, 3 divisions of 3, all done kind of geography-wise. So Sheffield, Newcastle, Glads, Cheshire. It's not really Cheshire, Manchester, and Leicester, and then London, Bristol, Surrey. But how it works, top team gets through, and then the best second place makes it. I think it's madness. I think the only I don't mind it. It's maybe not madness, but like, we're in a situation where a team in Group A, like, you'd assume London are going to beat Surrey. I mean, no, that doesn't work because Surrey lost to Bristol, so that doesn't really work. Anyway, but it just feels as if like it's not a good way of doing it. It's confusing how a best second place team. It means, I mean, you're going to have to play the full 40, which is good, which I suppose makes it more entertaining. But it feels very much like we're trying to shoehorn in a competition that should be more should have a higher value, even with 9 teams, than what we're giving it. And I understand we've got teams in Europe. We've got 4 teams playing in European competitions, almost half our league, which is a mad thing to say. We've got like 40% of our league playing in Europe. But you'd assume that more games, yes, whatever, they bring in more money, but just make it work. Like, I mean,
that is the bare minimum.
That is the bare minimum it could be.
That is literally the bare minimum.
Genuinely the world's smallest competition, because teams have been playing too many matches, apparently. And okay, maybe there's a conversation we've had about player welfare. Fair. Like, it seems like we've yet to have a team play a back-to-back, because I think that's not allowed anymore, or it's not allowed anymore. or they're going to attempt to not have it. So fair dues, well done. That's probably the right thing. But I just wish it was given a bit more kudos. Like the trophy is a big deal, or a cup competition should be a big deal, considering it's a central showpiece final.
I just think they can't have two. That's what I've always thought of. Like for a league with 9 clubs, you can't have the championship and then 2 additional competitions, including the same amount of people. Apart from obviously the other wild card people that just get dicked all the time. So yeah, it's just weird, and I think it doesn't help that they've changed it. As if you're a new fan and you got into it, over the last 2 or 3 years, the cup competition seems to have changed 2 or 3 times. So it's just hard. Just like stick with one way of doing it, even if it's rubbish. At least that you know what to expect. But yeah, this one's just a bit weird. So how do they decide who the best runner-up is?
Points difference, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But so basically, come seconds, win one game massively, and yeah.
So it's probably going to be Bristol, because if we're going to be honest, London are probably going to go 2-0, which means a win over Bristol. Bristol just caned Surrey. So best runner-up's probably Bristol.
Yeah, I mean, that's just another smoking gun for the competition, really, isn't it?
I suppose it depends on what Manchester do. Manchester will now have to smash Leicester.
Which, you look at Leicester this year.
Have you seen Manchester this year?
Leicester are smashable. I want them to be smashable.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
You just forget you're on a podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time. But look, I just think that, like Grant said, there could have been more thought put into this, because it just feels like an afterthought, truthfully speaking. And like Matt was saying, for previous fans, it's confusing. If you're just coming into the season as a newbie, you're going to be confused because because it isn't self-explanatory. Like, you're having to kind of go through hoops to kind of try to even explain it. And if that's kind of the case, then it's clearly not a viable kind of, I don't know, tournament format. I just think, I mean, groups of 3 in like this kind of knockout tournament, it just doesn't work.
Also, we just need more people in this league. Like 9 teams is such a janky, like, name another league with odd numbers on it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, there probably will be. There probably will be.
Nah.
But there should be.
There shouldn't be. Exactly. And that's kind of the thing. But next season, when we have Liverpool, and the seasons after, with new investment, because the league's looking forward now to be in full circle. Indeed. So, we're getting better. Hopefully. We will.
Hopefully. All right, let's give our trophy some respect. I would like to see, is this where we talk about, and maybe this is, again, something that goes forward, and is this where we maybe see if we're talking about the trophy and the cup? The trophy could stay an SLB thing. But how good would a cup competition be where all the teams, BCB could come in, it maybe starts that any team can enter it, regionalised, whatever else. Like FA Cup stuff.
FA Cup,
like, genuinely, like a British cup competition where everyone across the UK can enter it would be superb.
But let's spitball it though. Add a stipulation, change the import, so it's like 4, maybe 3, to make it more close.
But why?
So it's more jeopardy, make it so that it's more competitive, more.
What's the BCB import rules? So maybe it's just
they
copy
input
those.
Yeah, so it's free.
Yeah.
So it's just go like that. So then SLB teams need to kind of
level in the playing field.
Level the playing field, and also kind of incentivize, having a little bit better of a British contingent rather than like, just getting the odd, like, I don't know, like what Cheshire do with getting. I mean, it's great that one of their kids got 2 points the other day, but like getting people on kind of non-contracts at the end of the bench. So yeah, go on, continue. Please.
I just think a British Cup would be, and you wonder if this thing probably, like we've had the NBL teams included in the past in one of the competitions, but go further. Like, let there be qualifying rounds. Let there be, like, it could be like freaking like the FA Cup. Local league can start. Have it running for the whole year. And if in time you get to, I don't know, January, February, when the big teams come in, or BCB first the round before, then the SLB, make it a random draw, and all of a sudden we've got this really cool competition where legitimately anyone could win.
It's about creating that engagement and the drama. To be Aaron Raiden for a second. It's great because look, let's be real. There isn't much like kind of national sentiment toward the league.
No,
from my interactions with, like, I say this a lot, but with my interactions with kind of the wider basketball kind of community, like the league is it's not regarded really much at all, to be honest, because people see it as kind of like this island where it's shut out from kind of like the other leagues like BCB. They see it as kind of like just an import centric league. So it creates that kind of accessibility, like that kind of entry point to kind of the league. So let's say like a team like, I mean, it'd be crazy, but like a team like Ipswich, like why would a person from Ipswich ever care about the SLB? But it would create that kind of connection point, so to speak. So just little things like that to kind of create more interest in the league and not make it this kind of, if you're in Leicester, you care about it, but if you're not, it doesn't matter, that sort of thing. Create more of a wider interest. So
make British basketball matter. Is that what you're saying?
And make it great again.
Make it great again. Make it great again. Get the hats out, guys. Get the hats out. All right, let's talk about, obviously, Cheshire Phoenix have had a great weekend, going 2-0. Yes, it's only in the trophy competition. Yes, they're still 5-4 in the league. Yes, they're 4-0 in the league at home. They started the season 0-3, all on the road. Ben Thomas got Coach of the Month. It's a tough venue to go to win, put aside all the stuff and the drama and whatnot. Regardless, it's a tough place to go. They're sitting on, they dropped their last game, but they scored 92 points a game. The opponents scored 90 points a game. Every game is close. Why have Cheshire Phoenix, when they started off the season 0-3, now in a place where they are, Louis?
Like they've just sort of kind of figured out a lot of things that, I kind of saw as, well, it's things they kind of struggled with at the beginning of the season. Like I didn't like per se kind of their lineups with Brenchley and Tobias at the 2 and 3, where it wasn't. I mean, they've got it to work now, but now they're playing a lot more lineups with kind of LaQuincy at the 1 and then, or LaQuincy at the 2 and then the Pat Robertson at the 1, which I think has been working really well. It creates a lot more dynamism in their lineups. But they're also, like we say, Cheshire's always this transition heavy team, and they've just, like in the game against Leicester, they were just kind of exploiting Leicester and in transition, stuff like that. Kind of like guys like I think they've kind of figured out some of the guys like Policelli, kind of figured him out in their rotation, getting him really clicking in terms of like his spacing. Like we know he's a knockdown shooter. He'll shoot from anywhere. They've just figured a lot of things out that kind of weren't working earlier in the season, and their defensive intensity, I think, has really ramped up. Earlier in the season it wasn't perfect, but now they've really kind of leaned into this defensive identity for guys like Tobias Cameron and LaQuincy, just harrowing players. Like like it's tough. So yeah, I think they've really kind of stepped up and kind of figured things out. So yeah.
When we look at them in terms of that growth, you're saying they've kind of, we talked about early on in the season, how will they get that Pat Robinson and LaQuincy balance? And you know what? I suppose roster balance takes time, or natural order takes time to settle in. But they've really begun to click. They deservedly now sit third in the table, looking to hope they'll, from their point of view, jump above Bristol. Through like Policelli's shoot has taken like 70 odd threes. Skylar White's taken over 50. We know what their identity and their offense is like. They look defensively more sound. But what do they need to go to the next level? How can they be seen as that second team? Is it now replicating? Because if they do seem to have had a lot of home games. Is it now just showing that they can do it on the old Allen, a cold Tuesday night in Stoke type thing? I mean, they are, I suppose, at times people joke about them being obviously one of the smaller teams in size and stature, which they like to use.
I've got a comment on that.
Oh,
I've got a
go
comment
for
on
it
that,
then.
but
Go for
continue.
it.
What do you want me to go now?
No, let me
No.
finish.
Let
No,
me finish.
but more about like, what does Cheshire need from the rest of the season in terms of roster, maybe, or in terms of their growth, or player to step up, or yeah, like what do they need to have in their roster for them to be seen as they are this season's second best team?
I think they've got a lot of the pieces to kind of to make a challenge there. You know, I mean, we've seen it the past couple games, but in terms of that kind of size point, one thing that they've been doing really well, and we saw it in the Leicester game, was kind of, so Leicester tried to play with Menzies. Cheshire kind of played him off the floor with kind of their pick and roll game and kind of getting him into rotations because of Menzies' poor mobility, etc. So they had to sub Menzies out. Leicester go small ball. But the thing with Cheshire is, you know, across their lineup, and also because they have guards like LaQuincy and Pat Robertson who are very physical and strong, they're very active and aggressive kind of. They play a very big, you know, they're, in terms of four factors, kind of this statistical way of kind of viewing the game, they've consistently had like one of the best offensive rebound rates, you know. So in terms of that, in terms of kind of physical size and playing in terms of size, you know, they've really played kind of, you know, above their listed heights, but made it really difficult for teams to match up against them. It makes it really difficult to kind of maneuver your game around them, because if you play small ball, for instance, you know, they're going to out rebound you, and they have people to kind of exploit that. And, you know, if you try to play big, you know, as Leicester saw, you know, it's really tough to kind of keep up with them. So, and if they have LaQuincy kind of playing at the level that he is, you know, he got a triple double in the game against Leicester, it's going to be really difficult, you know. So, yeah, that's about it.
It's exciting. All right, let's look at the flip side of that. What has happened to the Surrey 89ers this season? They have been, other than the fact they have Manchester's number, that's
Every game.
not saying much. Every game. I think there's a few ways we can talk about this. Other than they're sitting 2 and 3, which is mad considering everyone else has played 7, 8, or 9 games. Like they seem miles back on like the curve of every other team. So maybe that can be a conversation piece of why they have seemed to kind of struggle. But there's just something that little bit different to them compared to last season. And I suppose we've talked about that Surrey team last season being quite fun to watch. They've gone one import less this season. They're a team that's having to lean quite heavily on their British element, which isn't a bad thing, like from what we've been talking about. But when we look at, as my phone clicks off it annoyingly. Oh, my phone's clicked off it. There we go. Look at who they had last season. Okay, Josh Steele, he's playing in Ireland. Mervyn James, hasn't really shown up anywhere yet for Sheffield. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know he is at Sheffield, but he's not shown us anything yet. And Dame Adelekin is in Romania.
Stoy Bucharest.
Yeah, and that's a quality level he's playing at. But even adding, okay, I've mentioned Josh Steele there, but even taking away, even just talking about Mervyn James and Dame Adelekin, league's top scorer, league's top rebounder, have the players they brought in got close to replicating that?
So, like a kind of way of looking at it is kind of the usage that kind of Dame and Mervyn kind of took up. You know, Mervyn was a kind of like, he was a scorer, go-to scorer that you could kind of give the ball to in certain like ISO situations and, you know, watch him score. You know,
Like,
with Dame.
See Dame, sorry, I've just clicked on his stats for this season in Romania. 19 points, just under 9 rebounds, over a block a game, playing 32 minutes.
Because he's sick. He's sick. But anyway, like,
Sorry.
a thing that I was talking about Dame and why I think he's a really big miss is because kind of, so I was saying in this Twitter post about how I like kind of like Keno Lilly is kind of like this off-ball guy rather than more so than kind of like a high usage handler that had to be, because they don't have like guys like Mervyn who can take up a lot of the usage, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So they have Michael Graham this season, who, you know, he's been a good offensive rebounder. You know, he's been active on the offensive glass, for instance, on the offensive end. He's been, decent at finishing, you know, around the rim on cuts, but he's not a Dame who you can trust in the post. He's not a Dame that who can really add value as kind of like a handoff player if he's handling at the top of the key, etc. You know, whereas, you know, Dame created a lot of offense last season as kind of like a passer, playmaker.
Yeah.
You know, which I feel like is really missing. Again, like, because they don't really have like a because Owen Kuntz hasn't been playing much this season because he's been injured, so that's a big miss in terms of their usage, because, you know, they've had a guy like Teo in, who's not a guy that's going to be taking up a lot of usage as a handler. He's going to be in the corners or spotting up, practically enough speaking.
Yeah.
But it makes it tough because you've got guys like Ronald Polite, who I've really liked, but he's not going to he's going to create a lot of opportunities for others, but he's not going to go out and generate a lot of points himself. You know, and it's just really, really tough when they don't have that kind of consistent scoring.
Because they last season, just to add
so.
up into that point. No, I'm just adding to it. Like, even you talk about Polite and Lilly, how a player that you compared a lot of players to last year was Jalen Ray.
Yeah, like,
and it feels as if like they've not
cool.
got that, or a Cam Gooden effect. Like
it's across multiple positions.
Yeah.
Like you know, like Cam Gooden is a much kind of, obviously I like Polite more as like a point guard.
Okay.
I like an out and out point guard against like a Cam Gooden in terms of facilitating and playmaking, getting them to their spots. But Gooden, Jalen Ray, Mervyn James at the 4, you know, Dame Adelekin at the 5, they were a lot more dangerous players in terms of just creating offense, right? So that makes it a lot more difficult, I feel. And, you know, I haven't liked the fit of kind of like Isaiah Smalls as like a 4 who can't really shoot that much. I haven't really liked that fit so far. I mean, I like what he has, but it's not really very well integrated. But, you know, there's a lot of kind of they have talent, but it's just a lot of moving parts that haven't really got. I mean, they've won against Manchester twice.
But is it then a case where they've, because of the schedule, they've not got a chance to get going? Like, they'll have a game, then a week off, or weekend off, then a game, then a weekend off, where everyone else is game after game after. Do you know what I mean? Like, it really feels as if the Surrey schedule is then hindered them. Like, when you look at the schedule, like, they've had so many weekends of no games. Like, surely Matt, even if you think of it this way, teams at this stage early in the season want to be playing games.
Yeah, I think that was, going back to those kind of cup and trophy competitions. I think that was something that I feel like teams quite liked, that you had a solid run of games that was quite predictable and you could kind of bank on. But yeah, the disparity between the amount of games that Surrey have played and, there are teams that have almost played double the games, which is mad. But yeah, it seems they're a funny one because, yeah, like you say, apart from Manchester, everyone seems to have their number, and it kind of seems that they obviously they're more towards the bottom end of the league quite often in the last few years, and I'm sure Surrey fans would like to see that change, but it's very competitive. So yeah, it's just someone's got to be down there. But
I think as well,
yeah.
I just really enjoyed watching them last season, and maybe it's the case where we've not been given the chance to watch this year's version of them yet, that it just appears that actually it's not as enjoyable because we've actually not been able to watch them, so we don't know what they're actually like.
Sure.
And then they're having Owen Kuntz is injured, Drew Lawrence has been out injured. Like if I join, like it's like the Surrey curse of injuries never helps them either.
No, I mean I'm being overly critical because I'm always like looking with this kind of critical lens. I mean, they did they did beat Manchester twice, and I think they kind of looked pretty decent in one of those games.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of figuring out that balance and making sure that you don't have games like Bristol and Leicester where you just don't turn up. Because I mean, they really didn't look great in those games at all. Like they need to be sorting themselves out in those games. So yeah, take us away, Grant.
Sorry, you caught me mid-yawn. No, it's. I think they're going to be the team come the end of the season. They could be pushing up the table if they're going to have more and more games. Like they're the team that I think everyone still roots for because you're like, oh, come on, sorry, you can upset this team, upset that team. Lloyd has this way of introducing young British talent, give them that court time that maybe they wouldn't get elsewhere. Or someone like a Kareem Queeley who giving him that kind of second chance as well. So we want them to do well, but hopefully they get a run of games to prove it, I suppose, is the kind of caveat, isn't it? All right, let's see some questions come in, some quite silly ones, which I quite like. One from Joe: is RPM flawed, or was Ricky McGill nowhere near the best guard in the league? Louis?
He means BPM, and for my boy Grant, I'm not going to say it's flawed. I'm saying it has its own use. It has its use case. I mean, RAPM might not have liked Ricky McGill much at all, but he's performing in the Basketball Champions League. So who's winning now? So go Ricky. I hope you're doing well in Slovakia. So thank you for the question, and take it away, Grant.
Nice. Okay. Next question, and I suppose this is one named, Matt. I'd be curious, you as your marketing hat firmly on, this is from another Matt, should the league have rules about announcements of players being released or signing? Is there actually any good reason for delaying the announcements?
Yes, there should be absolutely minimum standards in place for comms from teams to the public. There is no reason for not announcing it, I think, because you should want to keep your fans in the know. You should want to do the whole thanks for everything. Riders are always team rider. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of fluff that all teams do. That's like, always part of the team. It's like, yeah, whatever, mate. You're here 5 minutes, but whatever. It's what you're doing it. Yeah, and of course, and it just goes back to with us being a league that has so much turnover of player talent, you've got to be able to try and make as much as you can out of the personalities that you have. So if people don't know who's come in and out, why would people care about the players that are wearing your jersey? So no, in short, there is no good reason why it isn't done. I think it's lazy, and I think it's unprofessional.
2 points on that one. There was, I forget which Eagles fan in our Discord said it. His son not being as engaged this year because of the player turnover.
Yep.
So like we don't potentially have enough space and time to make players known. So I suppose it's up to the clubs to do stuff, make them accessible, put them out there, do a day in
Be
the
a
life
modern
of,
sports club and
yeah.
create some content about your players.
And the thing I always find, like, you always get, we don't want to tell them so they can't scout, that kind of stuff. Like, look at rugby, perfect example at the moment. Autumn internationals are on. If the game's on the Saturday, the international teams are announced on the Thursday. Like, injury reports, like, I feel like it's basic stuff. Like, nobody's done an injury report this season. London have been like the only team over the last number of seasons that's kind of dabbled in it.
Surrey have.
Apologies, I've not seen that. So if that's true,
they said about Owen Kuntz's lumbago.
That's true.
So
you know what? That's true.
It's true.
Like, I asked Atiba pre-game last week about how far away is Prentice, and he was like, a couple of weeks. So that's something, I suppose. But they should be like either like on the by Friday lunchtime for that weekend. It's the squads are confirmed from that weekend. And
even
injury
like follow
report.
the NBA example of like so and so's day to day or so and so's game time decision or whatever it is, but like just be
Something.
professional and have some sort of comms,
look.
please.
I'm just gonna say this, like I was saying it to the kind of like Leicester fan group, like because they didn't know whether this is previous to Don Kerry and Aaron Menzies signing, where they were kind of like, will someone be signed by the next game? Like, firstly,
Leicester always have someone for the next game. They just don't
Leicester
tell you
always
until the next game.
Exactly.
Leicester
Firstly,
and Newcastle.
like, these guys are probably already in the building, and that was the case then. So that's just dumb. But secondly, like, Leicester already were in the shit. I'm just gonna say that, already in the shit with their fans. Parking gate, so to speak, etc. But you need to endear yourself to them. You need to inform them. You need to create this kind of engagement around them. Respect them. And it doesn't matter if you eke out that 2% chance of winning. If you get to the game and your arena's half full or quarter full, because how are you going to create a sustainable club that way? You need to. A club is created for the fans, not to somehow like self-servingly kind of. Obviously it helps if you kind of try to withdraw the information. Obviously it helps in some sort of way, because then you can't scout the player. But that just tells me that it's priorities. It's just priorities and kind of make sure that the fans are served in the correct manner. So continue.
Without a camera, he's a bit sassy as our Louis, isn't he, Matt?
He loves it.
He absolutely loves it, as our old prophecy. So what we're kind of saying that it would be good if information was done by a set time, informs fans, like increases engagement, and that's never a bad thing, is it?
That's it. Yeah.
No,
Just
sir.
try. Just try.
Just try.
Try.
All right. That'll do for this one tonight. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Like, sharing, subscribing. You can always buy us a wee coffee as well to keep us investing in the SLB show. Hopefully, everyone has noticed a remarkable upturn in terms of production value, sound, that kind of stuff. Obviously, Louis can't turn on a webcam or whatever he's got today. I don't know what's happening in Oakland's.
Just £2 a month and get by Louis a webcam that works. Just text Louis to 12345
SLB. And if you want to do that, is buy me a coffee. Our links in the link tree on all our social media platform. Get involved in the discussion. Thank you everyone for getting involved. If you're at a game this weekend, let us know your views. And yeah, we'll be back next week. And hopefully this podcast will not be out of date by tomorrow lunchtime. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week.